3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, it's Miss Wagers. We are on Unit 3, Day 4, and our I Can today is I can decompose fractions to show equivalence. Equivalence simply means equal. Okay, so we're going to be showing how fractions are equal to each other. So let's begin. Right here, I have a tape diagram or a fraction bar that is divided into fourths. I am going to go ahead and shade in 2/4. So I know that if I would have labeled these, I would have 1/4 and 1/4, and all together, that makes 2/4. Okay, simple. So we know 2/4 is equal to 1/4 plus 1/4. But now, let's look at this again. I have my 2/4. What if I took that, I have my 2/4 still, and I divided my whole tape diagram in half? So now I have 8 pieces. The fraction has changed just a little bit because now each of these pieces is not worth 1/4. Each box is worth 1/8 because there's one shaded out of 8 total pieces. So 1/8, 1/8, and 1/8. So my total amount that I have shaded now is 4/8. Okay, so what we want to look at, do I have more shaded now than I did before? Do I have more shaded? They're actually still the same amount. Okay, my 2/4 is equivalent to 4/8. Okay, they're actually the same amount. They're equivalent because they take up the same amount of space. However, they're just broken into smaller pieces. So some vocabulary that we do need to go over here is the word unit fraction. In your lesson today, it's going to ask you about unit fractions, and it's going to ask you like what unit fraction is 4/8 made of? Well, the unit fraction is just the fraction with a numerator of 1. Okay, so 4/8 is made of the unit fraction 1/8 4 times. So 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. Okay, that's 4/8. That's equivalent to 4/8. 4/8 is equal to 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. Okay? Another way that we could write this using multiplication is also by saying 4/8 is equal to 4 times 1/8. Because remember, multiplication means groups of. So 4/8 is really equal to 4 groups of 1/8. I have one group of 1/8, 2, 3, and 4. So that's another way that I could write this. So if we look at one more real quick. Oops, it would help if I am using a rectangle. Okay, let's say that I am doing thirds. Okay, I go ahead, I'm going to shade one piece. Okay, so right now I have shaded 1/3. If I split my model in half, instead of having 3 pieces, I will now have 6 pieces. It's still the same. My fraction is still equivalent, but instead of having 1/3, I would label this fraction as 2/6. And if I wanted to label this as the unit fraction, remember, this has a numerator of 1, so it's made up of 2 groups of 1/6. So that's equal to 1/6 plus 1/6. Or, again, we can use multiplication and we can say 2 times 1/6, because times just means groups of. So if I have 2 1/6, 2 times 1/6 means that I have 2 groups of 1/6. So When we're finding equivalent fractions, that just means that they take up the same amount of space. We are using the same whole. So I didn't change the size of my rectangle. So I had 2/4 here. I didn't change the size. And I just made that, split that. So then I had 4/8. 2/4 and 4/8 were the same. Okay. And then I did the same thing. I started with thirds and I changed them to sixths. So 1/3 is equal to 2/6. And we can write that as 1/6 plus 1/6 or 2 times 1/6. Right, have a great rest of your day, guys. I can stop the video.